So, we have seen in the previous session that is the how that talent is moving from the employment to the associate consultant. So, for the employer, right. So, one side of that time the percentage I have discussed is 27% and rest is by the force, that is a push and pull is there. So, we have to see that is the how we can embedding then sustaining the talent power. So, here it is an introduction measuring the talent's contribution to the business performance and top level performance measures that we will see. Embedding and the sustaining the talent power. So, the importance of understanding and measuring how talent contributes to your organization's performance, right. This is very important, because many organizations they do not take care of their employees and they feel that is the it is the organization. If we will replace A by B and C and D, it will hardly matter. So, therefore, they ignore intentionally ignore the talent, right. So, therefore, in that case it is becoming a very important organization's performance. Experience reminds us that what gets measured gets managed, right. So, here always we have to see that is the measurement is there, it is a performance measurement. If higher is the performance management measurement is there, higher is the management is there. So, therefore, whatever we get is the measured and that will be getting the managed is there. Talent power organizations measure investment in talent processes. So, these are the their investments are there and therefore, that the talent power organizations, right. And so, they were making the measurements in the investments. How to make that measure investments is there by the keeping in mind, that is the how these functions will be working. So, here if you are measuring in terms of the quantitative, for example, certain jobs are there which are the quantitative, and if the quantitative jobs are there, then you are measuring in terms of target achievement, maybe the ROI, maybe the sales, right, or maybe the even in the HRM you will find that is number of persons recruited, number of persons left. So, you are measuring that the turnover ratio, and on the basis of the turnover ratios you decide that is the HR's performance. So, that is a talent power organizations measure the investments in their talent processes and capabilities to ensure that they are defining, discovering, developing and deploying that. Now, we will take one by one. So, therefore, now in this talent process what is important first is that is the defining. So, if we are talking about that is the how we are going for this defining. So, here we will find that is the what talent process you define. So, the talent process which you define, that is the they are becoming the more and more transparent and clear. That is how you are defining the talent, and how they are defined, as we have talked in the first session itself, that is the creativity, innovativeness, creation, innovativeness, right. So, there that intellectual capital that has been defined. Now, certain organizations they are called the KBOs, knowledge based organizations, and when the knowledge based organizations are there, so their roles, responsibilities, duties, performance, everything has been defined. So, that will be the defining is there. Second one is the discovering. Discovering is that is the how you are going to discover that particular aspect. So, in the discovering you are doing a particular job, and in doing that particular job certain jobs are known, operations in that jobs are known, but when you are doing the brainstorming in that, when you are having the group discussion on that, so naturally you are discovering the many things which have not been done earlier. So, analytics, basically the analytics is there. So, if you go for the analytics and then you are designing your own system, that is the discovering is there. So, this defining and discovering, that is becoming the very important whenever we are talking about, that is the how the talent. So, what a talented person will do, whatever the job you give, like a Birbal, whatever job you will do, he will discover something new. This job can be done in this way also, and everybody knows and appreciates, that is, oh, this is the way, and very simple things, right, but just mode of the operations have been changed, and then you find that is something has been discovered. So, and developing the talent. So, in the talent process, the capabilities, they have been developed by the practicing, by the training and development. There is a method which everybody knows, but there can be the experiences, there can be the experimentation. So, training and development and experimentation and experiences, so that you nurture that particular talent and develop that talent, and then put them on the jobs, that is the deploying talent in ways that create the value for organization also and themselves also. It is not only for themselves, it is for the organization and for themselves, because they have been nurtured, they have been structured. So, whenever they have been nurtured and structured, they are creating the values for themselves. Embedding and sustaining talent multiplication capabilities is not simply a matter of measurement, right. So, therefore, it is just not the question of the how much. It requires robust and integrated processes, right. So, therefore, that strong and integrated processes are required, and that support all aspects of the talent management, right. So, here it is becoming very important, it is that integrated process, right, that supports in the cases of the acquisition, talent management means acquisition, deployment, development, rewards and compensation, and then the assessment or appraisal of talent appraisal, potential appraisal, and finally that is a talent separation. So, that throughout the employee's life cycle, right from the birth to the separation. So, right from the acquisition to the termination. So, therefore, this throughout the employee's life cycle, there will be an integrated process, right, all aspects, and it requires the complete alignment of mindsets and efforts. What is most important is this, that is the mindset of the employees. If the mindsets of the employees are trained, they will do miracles. So, many times we see, that is, there are certain employees, they may not be physically that strong, but their output is much stronger than those who are physically much fit. So, there is no relationship. So, then what is, why even the weaker talented employee is producing more or giving output more as compared to the fitter and the strong employee, and the reason is mindset. How do you train your mind? That is becoming very important, and efforts within the organization. So, whatever the efforts are there, those efforts will be seen within the organization. If we see that is the yes, within the organization the efforts are there, then they will do their best, right. So, here that embedding and sustaining the talent is the core is the deploying and development, and changing their mindset from where just to do to I can do, just a level to the next level, just the performance to the excellent performance, and therefore, that with the mindsets and within the organizations will be there. Everyone in your organization must be involved in multiplying talent from top leaders to HR, right. So, therefore, the focus is there. Focus is there on these employees, and therefore, they have been noticed, they have been seen that what they are doing, and accordingly you will find that is they are performing their best. So, what is required is there is the multiplying the talent. This is a wonderful concept and the process and the culture and practices That is, how do you multiply the talent? So, you train the one person and that one person trains to others, right. That flow of culture in the organization, that will create the talent pool. When it will not by one by one, one by one, one by one and focusing on all. It is anybody comes in contact with a one talented employees, he himself also becomes a new, especially new employees, the young employees, when they join the organization, when they are mentee, they work with the mentor. Mentor is so talented that the mentee is developed as a talent asset. So, therefore, you are involved in multiplying the talent from top leaders to HR, up to the HR, to line managers, whoever is into the production manager, right. So, that they are called the line managers, to employees. So, it is not restricted only up to a certain level, but it is to the last level. So, maintain visible leadership that keeps your organization permanently focused on talent as its top priority. So, as I mentioned, it is the culture, and in the culture you see the leadership is visible, vibrancy is there, encouragement is there, and therefore, when the person talks about this particular aspect of the talent development and the creation of talent pool, right. So, then in that case they will be focused on the top priority, and if there is a top priority, then definitely there will be you will find there is a whole organization, the percentage basically that increases. Clearly encourage and reward line managers for their performance in nurturing talent. Here I would also like to mention about the mentoring program. So, you will find there are certain managers, they are well known mentors, and the people recognize if he has been trained under that mentor, perfectly fine, you can try him. But if the mentors are not that efficient and effective, that is only ornamental, or you keep the top executive as a mentor and the employee feels very motivated in the beginning that I am working under him, but he does not have time. So, for the 2 months, 3 months, 6 months there is not a single meeting, then HR is after the top management executive. So, what is required here, that if you want to encourage and reward the line managers, please make the mentors to the line managers, immediate bosses, frontline managers, so that the talent can interact, talent can learn, talent can be awarded. But in the case you are keeping the power distance, then there will not be the successful talent development practices. So, here the encourage and reward line managers for their performance. Ensure that HR departments and the training organizations are modernized and retain the capabilities to act as the expert advisors, supporters, adjudicators and enablers of discovering, developing and deploying talent in the organization. I will explain one by one. So, HR departments, right, earlier it was a personal department. So, it has gone from personal management, so human resource management, to the HRD, to the human capital, the intellectual capital, right, and then talent management. So, these HR departments and training organizations are modernized. How? To retain their capabilities to act as the expert advisors, experts. As I just previous sessions I have mentioned about that is a consulting, associate consulting. So, they are the advisors, and these departments they are supporters, and here are the adjudicators giving the justice, and enablers, human capital, intellectual capital creation, enabling conditions of the human capital and intellectual capital. that is a discovering for what? Developing and deploying talent in the organization. So, these practices, they when you are modernizing these and therefore, you are creating them as an experts and consultants. So, that is making the enablers of the discovering the talent, right, putting the talent right person, right, and developing them so that they can perform in the best way. Now, in the beginning I talked about that is the measurement. If the measurement is there, then definitely there is the performance recognition. Top management and leadership must understand where and how investments are necessary. So, it is a question of ROI, where the investments are necessary to in improving the performance of the workforce, right, to drive the greater business value. Ultimately, why we are doing all these practices, the talent management practices, it is not charity, it is not any servant leadership, rather than it is the creating the business value. The objective and focus is very clear, that is the organizations want to do this particular type of things, right, that is for the driving the greater business values. So, if you are able to develop those business values, then definitely you will be more successful. And it is equally essential for every line manager to understand how the competencies of their teams line up and how well they are performing against the specific organizational objectives. Everything is very focused, the direction is given, because it is very clear that every line manager has to understand, right, that is the what that is his competencies, knowledge, skills and attitude and habits of their team's lineup. The knowledge of the one person in the team member is coping with the other team members. So, they are lineup and how well they are performing. So, naturally they are performing very well against the specific organizational objectives. So, whatever the specific organizational objectives are there, they are performing in that particular lineup. So, outside the investors or the stakeholders also need more visibility. So, here it is becoming very important, that is the how these investors or the stakeholders, right, they outreach, as I mentioned in the percentage you have seen that there was outreach or the first that is a business process and business environment, that is a far reaching, that far reaching was not achieved, and therefore, in that case this is the outreach which I was talking about, that is outside investors as stakeholders. So, that it should be the outreach. If you are developing that talent, your employees are talented, you are performing well, right, and then they are contributing to your business performance. So, who should get the confidence? Confidence is to be stakeholders. Stakeholders should have the confidence, and therefore, in that case all this process and performance and measurement results that should be communicated to investors or stakeholders, so that there will be more visibility will be there. Measurement to date has generally focused on cost of human resource administration activities, HRA, or some measures of the process efficiency are there. Since so many HR functions still work with the fragmented systems, there are different processes and capabilities, it can be challenging simply to get reliable cost data. That is always a challenge for the HR, the cost and benefit analysis. So, if you want to go for the cost and benefit analysis, it is very important, that is the we are able to measure, measurement is important. So, measurement to generally focus on the cost of human resource administration activities, right. So, that is becoming very difficult, but this is the talent management activity is there, where you can measure the cost, because there is a performance and performance with the output, and output can be measured. So, since so many HR functions still work with the fragmented systems, right, it can be challenging simply to get reliable cost data. Different surveys across many organizations continue to show that Despite the wide recognition today of the importance of business outcome measures related to the workforce investments, very important. Now, nowadays where is the investment? Investment is in the technology, that is true, but for what? For their development of the workforce activities. So, in the workforce activities are increased with the help of technology, the output is automatically increased. The business outcome measures related to the workforce investment, there is a significant lack of the actual measurement or aggregate framework. So, in HR definitely like you talk about the man hours. So much man hours have been spent on this particular the output. Now, that intellectual input, the capability which is to be reflected there, that is becoming very different and challenging. So, therefore, there is a significant lack of the actual measurement or aggregate frameworks are there to in the HR is there. For example, research by the Chartered Management Institute in the United Kingdom found that there was a wide divergence on what senior executives and directors of the UK companies thought was important to measure and what was actually being measured. Lot of deviation was there. For example, 60% of the respondents thought succession planning important, but fewer than 10% can thought they were effectively measuring it. And it is really very difficult to measure the succession planning, whether it is done properly or not done properly. So, there this is the real example, that is the yes they thought that succession planning is important. Everybody knows that is the succession planning is important, because one will go to other will come, and therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the how you are doing that succession planning, and if the successor is properly selected, then your organization is stable. But 10% thought they were effectively measuring it. So, they were not confident about it. Among the key findings of the high performance workforce study, Accenture 2006-2007, where nearly 40% of respondents said that they had no formal measures to gauge the impact of their HR training efforts. The output of the training, since so many years we are talking about the measurement of the cost and benefit analysis of the training, but definitely practically it is becoming very difficult to gauge the impact of the HR training efforts on the performance of the top 3 workforce. So, therefore, on their top 3 workforces it is very difficult to identify that where they are working. 39% said that they had such measures, but only for some HR and training initiatives. So, there are certain organizations which are adopted the measurement techniques, but they are for the HR and training initiatives are there. 50% used revenues sales pipeline to assess HR or training effectiveness. So, therefore, as I mentioned, that is what will be there, the revenue generated by these particular department or section, sales pipeline is there, that is how they are performing in the sales, that will be making the assess the HR training effectiveness. If the sales is increasing, that yes, the training which was given to increase the sales, that has been become successful, but it is measurable, but not others. Customer satisfaction and retention, employee attraction and retention, right. So, therefore, customer satisfaction and retention, attaining the customer and making the repetitive customer, right, it is a tough task. Employee attraction and retention, again to retain the employees, right, because they are seeing the sky is the limit for their growth. So, retain the employee challenge, and the employee productivity are the most common outcome based matrices are there. 59% of the respondents said that they used margin of profitability to measure the business impact of HR and training efforts are there. So, that is the overall performance basically, that is the organization is performing better and profitability is there. So, HR is also doing better. A study also separated out what we termed human performance leaders. Only 9% of the surveyed population rated the performance of their top 3 workforces at the highest level, rating them 5 out of 5, and they rated the performance of their HR and the training functions highly, right. So, that is the human performance leaders, that is also to be identified in the HR of the organization. So, because normally you will find that is the very few percentage, like 9%, 9% only. They have talked about at the highest level performance of their top 3 executives, rating them 5 out of 5, and they rated the performance of their HR and training functions very highly, that is, yes, they have provided the training. So, what are the top level performance measures? At the highest level, measures of organizational performance for all public sector organizations or the non-profit organizations will always include profitability. The simplest measure would be profit per employee. The total profit is in the end of the result of the total number of employees and how much profit is attributable to the each employee, right. Now, it is just like you sharing a bonus. Normally we talk about the ESOP, employee share on profit. So, therefore, knowing for the each employee how much profit is coming. So, it would be valuable to make these measures visible to contribute to greater understanding of organizational performance. So, this is the simplest formula, that higher is the business returns, and then the per head there is the higher is the amount, then definitely you can say that this contribute to the greater understanding of the organizational performance. Organization is performing very well. Other basic measures of the health of human capital within a business include attrition or staff turnover rates, absenteeism rates, engagement levels or the feedback from employee satisfaction surveys, average length of employee service, and the total training days per employee and levels of training investment as a proportion of the employee's cost. So, this will be measured. So, therefore, in that case, that is the there has to be the total training days per employee and their cost is to be measured. Organizations can improve profitability and performance by investing more capital. So, here it is becoming very important, that is there is requirement for the more capital, or increasing or reducing their investment in and cost of the labor is there. So, whatever their investment is there in and cost of the labor, that will be checked in its simplest form by adding or shedding the staff is there. So, how it is to be done, that organizations can improve their this profitability is there by the in the labor cost, and in the labor cost the cost of the training and development, and by these increasing that training and development and performance, that is better. And then when we talk about by adding or shedding of the staff, so when we are talking about the shedding of the staff, then definitely in that case that is profitable measurement will be there, but when you are talking about the employee branding, then it will be affecting very highly. So, in the study by the UK Chartered Management Institute quoted earlier, it is what we have mentioned about this study. Its survey of wide samples of the top executives came up with the 5 key human capital measures seen to be most significant in impacting the future financial performance. These were consistent for both UK based and international company executives, right. And these measures were 5 measures are leadership, that what type of the leadership you are having, and if you are having that type of leadership, then which is making the talent development, that is a visible. Staff motivation, willingness of the staff to develop the talent, acquiring talent, deploying the talent, and then the self motivation. Training and development to the manpower, performance improvements, and that is to the measurement, that you are able to measure that. Pay and reward structure, compensation and rewards. These measures are broadly similar to the basic measures of human capital. So, these are the 5 pillars you can say in the talent management: in leadership, staff motivation, training and development, performance improvement, pay and reward structure, right. And if these 5 pillars are there, then definitely in that case you will find that is you will be able to measures broadly similar to the basic measures, and then you will develop the human capital is there. Now, finally, I say that measuring the return on investment in talent development besides payroll, the largest investment in people is usually in learning and development, training and development cost. Since Accenture invests heavily in learning, we set about developing a robust learning ROI model built on outcomes for the which good data could be found. These elements include the recruiting, retention and performance, same which I have talked. So, performance was defined as the per person margin from where we have started, and measured as the person's bill rate times the number of hours billed minus the cost of that employee over the same time period is there. So, therefore, if you are reducing that cost, per person margins cost is that is widely accepted in the firm. So, here with this model, Accenture learning ROI model is that is the contribution can be defined in terms of the whatever activity is most meaningful, contribution in the performance. So, that there is the for the contribution measurement per person margin, the x axis represent employees time with the company, how much time with the company he has spent, and therefore, this training, right, and when there is no training you see the performance. So, the contribution with the training, that how much it is increasing, this gap. So, therefore, this gap you find the area under the higher training minus under the no training line. So, therefore, this gap that is the achievement. So, what the contribution of this particular session is that is the, if you want to be the measurable talent management and ROI, return on investment, please train your employees learning and development practices, and then you will find that ROI is increasing. This is all about this session. Thank you.